Little smiley face on his mask. Look at that. Look at the little smiley face. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Utawarerumono, Prelude to the Fallen. Since the last episode, we've unlocked the free battle. I've actually gone in and fought the little monkey Kuma Mouse. I think that's right. Monkey creatures a couple more times. Distributed out the BP because I realized I only did it for Aruruu in the last video, and I was like, oh, it doesn't stack. It's independent, so everybody gets their own. Yay! Went back and forth a little bit more, and having done one episode where I did the voice, and one episode with the protagonist's voice turned on, I will say I do like the vocal performance for the protagonist's voice, but I find it more engaging personally to do it myself. I hope that's okay with everybody. I understand if it's not really your cup of tea, but I will try to do the best I can with the performance and just have a good time. Let's get into it. I had some technical difficulties and had to redo a couple of parts, so that's why those were marked as red. Just FYI, inconsequential, but here we are. Huh? Oh no, the monkeys are back. What's with this guy? Oh, I really thought that was a monkey.
Huh? Oi, てめえ。そこの変な面をかぶったてめえだ。
Okay, rude. We just met. Is he talking to me?
てめえ以外に誰がいるんだよ。
I don't know. This guy is a real piece of work. I can't believe he rudely addressed me out of nowhere with a "Hey you."
見かけねえ面だな。誰だてめえ。おい、なんとか言ったらどうだ。ビビって黙りこくってんじゃねえ。
Not really. I have no obligation to respond to someone who rudely accosts people without so much as a self-introduction.
何？
You heard me.
こいつは笑っちまうぜ。まさかこの俺様が誰だか知らねえと言うんじゃねえだろうな。
No. Nope.
これだから辺境の田舎者は無知で困るぜ。
That's rich coming from a guy who sounded like a monkey when he first came up.
本来なら俺様から名乗るなんてことはありえねえが、俺様は寛大だ。特別に名乗ってやるぜ。だがてめえは俺様に名乗らせたことを後悔することになる。
I already do.
いいか、その泥くせえ耳くそをかっぽじってよく聞きやがれ。俺様の名はヌワンギ。何を隠そう、この国のオーロの弟でここを統治する藩主の息子だ。
That was like a Spaceballs intro. I am your fathers, cousins, uncles, sisters, roommate from college. What does that make us? Absolutely nothing.
俺が誰だか知って恐怖のあまり声も出ねえか。何しろてめえはオーロの甥に名乗らせたんだからよ。
I don't even know who that is.
さあ、俺様を敬え。頭を下げて媚びへつらえ。
ハクオロさん。
よー、エルル。
ヌワンギ。
Aruruu? Does she know this man?
いつここに？
今さっきだ。お前に会うために飛ばしてきたんだぜ。
じゃあもしかしてあのオプタル、ヌワンギの？
What's a Warptor?
ああ、俺の新しいウォプタルよ。どうだ、いいウォプタルだろう。少々気性が荒いから俺にしか乗りこなせねえ。
As he says that, he pats it pretty hard on its neck. Ooh. That's gotta hurt.
大丈夫？
じゃれついてんだよ。かわいいやつだぜ。
It's just playing with its teeth.
そうなんだ。そうだ、紹介するね。
We've met.
この人は白オロさん。新しくここで暮らすことになったの。
あ？おいおい、まさかこんな男を住まわすのか？何すっかわかんねえし、とっとと追い出しちまえよ。
ヌワンギ。
チェ、あのババアか。大方戦場から逃げ出した落ち湯とかなんかだろ。こんな男を住まわすなんざどうかしてるぜ。
In fairness, I can neither confirm nor deny that.
もう白オロさんは怪しいとかそんな人じゃないよ。
Except for the mask.
一緒に暮らしていい人だって分かってるんだから。
一緒に？何？
Not like that.
一緒に暮らしてるだ。エルル、俺という男がありながらそれどういうことだ？
Ooh.
ちょ、
He's Eruruu's man?
違います。ヌワンギとはただの幼なじみで。もうヌワンギ、変なこと言わないで。
そんな。だいこいつはなんだ？
Why are you mad? That gives you an in.
こんな奴と一緒に住んでるってのはどういうことだ？もうこいつとやったのか？やっちまったのか？
If by it you mean heal me during a fight, then yes.
変なこと言わないでったら。一緒にっていうのはそんなのじゃなくて、その患者さんというか、それで。
そうだよな、そうだと思ったぜ。ったくよ。
それよりヌワンギ、本当にどうしてここに？
おいおい、言ったじゃねえか、お前に会いに来たってよ。
私に？
約束したはずだぜ。次に来るときはお前を連れてく。お前を俺の女にするってな。
E. That sounds like a threat.
本気なの？
冗談でんなこと言えはねえ。俺と一緒に来い。そうすればこんな惨めったらしい暮らしなんかおさらばできるんだぜ。
I can show you a whole new way to live pathetically. Aruruu solemnly shakes her head.
なんでだ？なんでなんだよ。
I can think of a few reasons.
贅沢な暮らしをしたくないのか？
私、贅沢な暮らしなんか。
嘘をつくな。贅沢な暮らしがしたくないやつなんてこの世にはいねえ。
He grabs her wrist and tries to forcefully lead her away.
お前は俺と一緒になるのが幸せなんだ。
そんなの、いや、話して。
It really doesn't seem like she wants to go with him. I better help her. Can't you see she doesn't want to? Now, why don't you let go of her?
んだ？関係ねえやつは突っ込んでな。
This girl saved my life. As a member of my family, this absolutely concerns me.
てめえ、俺様に歯向かうってことは親父に歯向かうってことだ。
Oh no.
親父に歯向かうってことはその兄であるオーロに歯向かうってことだ。つまり俺様に逆らうってことはオーロに逆らうってことだ。それを分かってでけえ口叩いてんだろうな。
In the next instant, my vision suddenly goes pitch black and I feel a dull impact against my face. Huh? I think I just felt a dull impact. Did something hit me? I look down. For some reason, Nuwangi is rolling around on the ground clutching his hand in pain. Not only are we dense, we're also hard-headed.
てめえ、よくもやりやがったな。
I didn't do anything. What?
変な面しやがって。そんなに勝てえなら一言言いやがれ。
Maybe it's your fault for having a hand so soft. My mask? Did something happen?
ざきやがって。ぶっ殺してやる。
ヌワンギ。
待ってなエルル、すぐにこいつをぶっ殺してやるからよ。
だからね、
あ、
かつてない方向に
Oh, jeez.
折れ曲がってて。
How hard is the mask? Ooh, that's rough, buddy. He's rolling around again. This guy has problems. Yeah.
今日のところはこれで勘弁してやる。
I don't think you really have a choice.
次に会った時はギタギタにしてやるからな。覚えてろよ。
Well, hopefully for you, our ass isn't as hard as our face. Then, whoa, hey. While I'm talking to him, he mounts his wapter. But the wapter is busy eating grass and refuses to move.
今度てめえ走れ。動けってんだよ。あら。
The wapter slams Nuwangi to the ground with its tail and then complies with his order by running off, trampling Nuwangi in the process. Ooh.
待ちやがれ。
Okay. Hi. What was that all about? Huh?
昔は子供の頃はあんな人じゃなかったのに。
Aruruu.
私まだやることが残ってるから。
Aruruu. Okay. How did a really sweet person like her end up with a clown like that? Well, I mean, I guess his personality changed. I wonder if we're going to figure out why. On to the next thing. How about, to the room.
ほらー、アルル、待ちなさい。
Oh, there she goes being a cat again.
待ちなさいってば。もう。
What's going on? She's yelling pretty loudly. What? Whoa. Huh? Aruruu, why are you in such a hurry?
捕まえた。
Oh no, I stopped her.
ほら、こんなに刺されて。
Stung.
平気。もう平気じゃないの。
While saying that, Aruruu smears something on Aruruu's hands and face.
我慢するの。動いちゃダメったら。
What happened? Hi, I'm here too.
やだ、いたんですか。
Yes.
待ちなさい。
There she goes.
もう。
What in the world happened?
そのあの子、
Okay.
また一人で蜂の巣を取ってきたんです。
Not the bees.
それで何箇所か刺されて、危ないからダメだって言ってるのに。
Honeycombs?
あの子蜂蜜大好きだから、止めても全然言うこと聞かなくて困ってるんです。
I know I keep saying it, but she really is just like a cat.
薬を塗ろうとすると嫌がってすぐ逃げるし。
So that's why you were chasing her around. You really love Aruruu, don't you? Aruruu. I've been thinking for a while that
なんでしょう。
you're pretty determined. Oh, that's not what she wanted to hear. Huh? Looks like Aruruu is over there, and here I thought she was long gone. It sounds like she's rustling around. What could she be doing?
タタタタラ
little yahoos are my favorite part so far. She seems pretty happy for some reason. Her bushy tail is thumping back and forth. This is the first time I've seen Aruruu acting like this. I wonder what's... Peeking from behind, I see her take something out of a basket. A semi-transparent liquid is oozing out of a brownish mass, like a big glob. I see. That must be the honeycomb in question. It's pretty big. Given how big it is, she must have been attacked by a lot of bees. No wonder Aruruu was worried. Aruruu. Ah. Oh, sorry. Did I frighten you? Oh. She retreated into silence. She was so cheerful a second ago. Is that the honeycomb you grabbed? I'm impressed you were able to get such a big piece all by yourself. How did you get so good at getting them? That didn't work. I thought she had gotten a little more used to me, but I guess she still hates me.
黒をかぶるの。
Oh. Huh?
巣に近づいて、煙でいぶして、取るの。
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's how... Did she just answer my question? It was a pretty concise explanation, but for her to even talk to me is a huge development. Even so, to get stung that much, you must really love honey, huh? Aruruu agrees with me. I suddenly feel all of her tension about whether to run away evaporate. Is this the first time we've actually had a conversation? Aruruu tears the dripping honeycomb in half with her fingers and holds one piece out as if offering it to me. Are you offering this to me? Thanks. Does this mean I need to eat it now? Though I'm happy she offered it to me, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to eat it. There's no way I can fit the entire honeycomb into my mouth. I examine the honeycomb and notice larvae wiggling inside it. Ugh. She's staring at me. Well, here goes nothing. Larvalicious. Good protein? Oh! It's sweet. It has a rich, complex bittersweetness to it. The first bite makes me want to take another. This could be addictive. I think I completely understand why this girl loves them so much. Wow, it's tasty. Tasty. Aruruu smiles. Her whole face lights up like a sun. She just sits there and crams her honeycomb into her mouth. She no longer seems to be on guard in my presence. I sit next to her and sink my teeth in for a second mouthful. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, real tasty.
あれ？ねえ、アルル、いつの間にハクオロさんと仲良くなったの？
About 5 seconds ago.
ショック。そうなんだ。よかったね。ありがとうございます。
Aruruu softly whispers that into my ear. For what?
あの子、本当は仲良くしたがってたんです。でも。
She did?
だから、ありがとうございます。
Aruruu wanted to?
おいしそう。ねえ、私にも一つちょうだい？ダメ。
Ow. There was no hesitation in her reply. It almost seemed like a reflex. And Aruruu immediately stiffens up.
そんなこと言わないで。ね？いや。
Another instant reply.
いいじゃないの、ちょっとくらい。いや。
Aruruu has become a heartless hunter. Aruruu, since you have so much left over, can't you give her a little?
But
Okay.
でなんで私じゃなくてハクオロさんが言うとくれるの？
Good question.
なんでも。
Fair? Oh. This is just such a disappointing episode for Aruruu. Alright. We have options. To the square.
私用事があるから。
待てよ、まだ返事を聞いてないぜ。
Oh, this guy again. Huh? What was that?
話して。
Whoa.
俺はこんな辺境の藩主で終わるつもりはねえ。必ず往路にまで上り詰めてやる。
And then we're all in trouble.
そしたらエルル、お前は皇后になるんだ。うまい飯にうまい酒、綺麗な着物を着て毎日遊んで暮らせる。都や宮廷の華やかな暮らしだ。お前が望めばどんな贅沢な暮らしもどんな望みだって叶えてやる。だからエルル、俺と一緒に来い。エルル、なぜだ、何が気に入らね
え。 Where do we begin?
お前はこんな辺境で泥にまみれながら惨めに終わる気なのか。
痛い。
俺はお前のためを思って言ってんだ。
Then why don't you let go of her hand? What you're doing right now isn't caring for Aruruu. You're just forcing your own feelings on her.
またてめえか。一度見逃してやればいい気になりやがって。
So how's your hand doing? Good? Is it good?
この俺様にそんな口を聞いて覚悟はできてんだろうな。
ヌワンギ、やめて。
待ってろエルル、今この男をぶっ殺してやるからな。
やめてったら。
ギャー。
ごめん。
I'm assuming that was the hand.
俺を殺す気か。
Was she choking him?
だから喧嘩はやめてったら。
Oh, okay, that was a little bit more than I expected.
ハクオロさんは病床から起きられるようになったばかりだし、ヌワンギだってこの間の腕の怪我まだ治ってないんでしょ。
俺の体は他の奴らと違ってやわにはできてねえ。
Agree to disagree.
見てな。
Nuwangi stands next to a tree and swings his arm at it. He's not trying to break it, is he? That tree is huge and healthy.
ああ。
Ooh.
どうだエルル、俺の力はよ。
I feel like that crunching probably wasn't the tree. Nuwangi's arm bends in a direction that it really isn't meant to go. Okay. Nuwangi tries bending his arm back into its correct position. But it bends in another completely wrong direction.
ヌワンギ？
なんでもねえぜ。
You say that now, but wait until the shock wears off. I have broken an arm, I know.
でも今の。
なんでもねえってよ。
騒がしいね。何を騒いでるかい。
Tuskur, good timing.
その声は。
おや、ヌワンギかい。随分と久しぶりじゃな。
で、
お前がここを出て行って以来かい。随分と大きくなったの。もう寝小便の癖は治ったかい。
Oh no, his pride.
あれ？ちょっと前まで週に一度は。
エルル。
じゃあ何かい。何度も来とって一度も顔を見せんとはどういう了見だい。
うるせえ、黙れよババア。
本気で言ったのかい。
いや、今のは。
赤ん坊の頃病弱なあの子に代わって毎日あんたを背負ってあやし、おしめを変え床裏を歌ったわしが
You're gonna die now.
そうだ、休養を思い出した。まただ、エルル。おいてめえ、これだけは言っといてやる。エルルは俺様の女だ。ちょっかいを出すんじゃねえぜ。
Just reach out one hand. Touch. Did he really used to live here?
流行り病で跡継ぎがいなくなったとかでの、コポロを迎える前に連れてかれたのさ。じゃが最近はあまりいい噂を聞かないね。
I can't imagine why. Aruruu?
幼い頃は兄弟のように過ごしてきたんじゃ。
That guy? To the room! To the windows, to the walls. Sneak. Something zooms across my field of vision. Huh? As I turn my head to get a better view, that something panics and retreats into the shadows. Ah, must be Aruruu. Just as I thought. Even though she's trying to hide, her tail is sticking out. Aruruu. I name the owner of the shadow, and the protruding tail instantly ruffles. Why are you hiding? Come over here. Come on. Kitty, kitty, kitty. What's wrong? Huh? I'm sorry, what now? Aruruu whispers something. But it was so faint, I couldn't make out what it was. Did you say something? I'm not your daddy. Hmm? Sorry, Aruruu, I couldn't quite hear you. Did she say Daddy? Da-dee. Why did she call me Da-dee? Da-dee. Dad-ee. Daddy? I figured it out. Oh. Daddy.
お父さんの服を着た時に気づいたんですけど、白オロさんの後ろ姿ってお父さんにそっくりなんです。
Like the way they do flashbacks. Their dad. Huh. Right. What is it, Aruruu?
お父さん。
Yes, Aruruu. What is it?
お父さん。お父さん。お父さん。お父さん。お父さん。
Aw. She happily runs in circles around me, saying Daddy over and over. Then she hugs me with all her might.
やっぱりお父さんだ。
She dreamily whispers that while pressing her cheeks against me. Aruruu? I'm happy that she feels this way, but this is kind of embarrassing.
え？
Oh, Aruruu.
どうしたんですか？これ。
I don't know how to explain this.
お父さん。
Well, you heard her.
お父さん？
Aruruu's eyes go wide as she looks back and forth between us in disbelief. Well... She stifles a smile as she figures out what's happening.
アルル、白オロさんが困ってるから、そのくらいにしなさい。
I mean, we're making progress, so it's fine.
お父
I'm a little nervous about the progress.
アルル、白オロさんに迷惑だから。
I knew I should have taken this catnip out of my pocket.
ハルル、
お父さん、いい匂い。
Thank you.
ハルル、いい加減にするの。
やあ。
Aruruu clings to me with her arms and legs. She's just monkey grabbing onto me.
ハルル。
As Aruruu tries to pry her off, Aruruu squeezes me even tighter. She's stronger than she looks.
やあ。お父さん、お父さん。
It's okay. I really don't mind.
でも。
Let her just have her way for a little while.
でも。
Besides, I feel like if I was her father, she would want me to hold her every now and then. I softly stroke Aruru's hair. As I'm combing my fingers through it and tickling her ears, she starts purring. Like literally purring? Huh?
もういいです。
Uh-oh. Oh no, I made her jealous. After saying that, Aruruu stomps off in a huff. Why was she mad? Do you know? I'm sure you know. I don't know. Because I am dense. Apparently equally as dense as my mask. What could have made that noise in the middle of the night? What made the noise the last time? More dots. That sounds like Tuskur's voice. Oh yeah, she did this before. What could she be doing in the middle of the... Huh? She's gone. It's the same as before. Did she go somewhere? Where would she even go? Well, if it's the same as last time, there's nothing to worry about. I guess I'd better go back to sleep. Getting comfy. Just imagine him flipping over several times. I can't quite get the angle right.
白オロさん、
I'm asleep.
白オロさん、
5 more minutes, Mom.
白オロさん。
Huh? What is it at this time of night? Aruruu, why are you crying?
おばあちゃんが、おばあちゃんが、
Taken? By who?
さっき物音で目が覚めたら、おばあちゃんがどこにもいなくて、そしたらおばあちゃんが黒ずくめの格好をした人たちに追いかけたけど、すぐに見えなくなって。
It'll be okay. If that's the case, there's nothing to worry about. A little while ago, I don't quite remember when, a similar thing happened. And at that time, she was back by dawn. So if it's the same case as last time, I'm pretty sure we'll have the same result. I'm sure she's okay. Now, go back to sleep.
おばあちゃんが私たちに黙って出てくなんて絶対に変。きっと何かあって
Okay, I'll try to find her. I should be able to track her down on a wafter, so I'll go make sure she's safe and sound. So, please, stop crying.
白オロさん。
I mean, what were you gonna do in that situation? I've traveled quite a ways. Their tracks disappear right around here. If I'm not mistaken, they should be pretty close. But man, I can't believe she started crying all of a sudden. I couldn't say no to her. I'm in danger. Huh? Oh. Whoa. Ow. Who's there? Oh. A man suddenly whispers in my ear, and I could feel a cold sensation pressing up against my throat. When did he? But I didn't sense anything. Following us? I can't believe he's traveling with Tuskur. And if that is the case, why is he pressing a knife to my neck just for following them? The only reason that makes sense. I can't believe it. Aruruu was right. So, what should I do? This situation is as bad as it can get. He said that if I make the slightest movement, he'll basically slit my throat. And without knowing who this guy is or what he wants, I can't tell if I should tell him the truth. When all paths are blocked, then kick through. Then I'll just have to break through. Oh, That was the sound of his bone creaking as I grabbed him with all of my might and kicked off against the ground. I swing around to punch him on the bridge of his nose and slam him against the tree behind him when... What? Ah, it's a ninja. The man flies overhead and lands in front of me. As he sticks the landing, the blade in his hand arcs towards me. I release him and pull my arm back just in time to see a flash of light streak by. Had I not pulled back when I did, my hand would have been severed at the wrist. The clasp of the man's apparel pops open, revealing the person beneath the cloak. Oh, hi. Yes, but I don't know who you are. I see a thin man with sharp eyes. Though he may be slight in build, there doesn't seem to be an ounce of fat on his toned body. There's a glint in his eyes that glistens like the sharpened blade of a drawn katana. This man... well, can we talk about this? Uh-oh. I'm surrounded by ninjas and I can't even see them. I assume. When did this happen? I'm completely surrounded. Uh-oh. Damn it. I choose not death. Has it really come to this?
Matanka!
Hmm? You know these guys?
Tuskur-sama!
Tuskur? Huh?
人様の命を奪うとはどういうことかと聞いとるんじゃ。
いえ、あれは。
This is the episode where Tuskur lectures everybody.
口答えする気かえ。
いや、ですから、あれは脅し文句であって、本当に殺そうとか、そんな。
本当かえ。
本当です。信じてください。
ん？
本当ですってば。
What's going on? The man who was as sharp as a drawn katana is now subserviently bowing to Tuskur.
そうかえ。なら、ええんじゃがの。
Wait, what's fine? Like, he can kill me now? Or... I'm confused.
そこの方、脅かしてすまんかった。どうか許してや。おや？Hokuolwo、こんなところで何しとるんじゃ。
Following you? What are you doing? I should be asking the same thing, just with your name instead of mine. What in the world?
そうかい、エルルーがの。すまなかったの。
It's okay. But why Tuskur?
わしはこれからちょいとな、診察に行くといったところじゃよ。
I was just going on a little walk with an armed guard filled with ninjas. A patient?
少しばかり体の弱い子がおっての。こうして何日かに一度容体を見に行ってるんじゃ。
I see. She's gone several times. But why do you sneak off in the middle of the night?
さての、いろいろと都合があるさね。
You get sunburn?
さて、わしはこの者たちと一緒に行かねばならんが。そうじゃな、お前さんも来るがええ。
Okay. Me?
冗談を言わないでください。そんな素性の知れない男を連れて行くなど。
この男は家族も同然。それを疑うのかえ。
Yeah, I'm with her.
わかりました。トゥスクル様がそうおっしゃるなら。
But if I don't go back and tell Aruruu what's happening... Tuskur nods and pulls out a writing tablet and quickly jots something down.
これを孫にな。
わかりました。ドリー。
はい。
これでええの。
All right. What is this? A staring contest? Are we staring too? Maybe we should blink.
オボロだ。で、あんたは
Huh?
あんたの名前だ。牧籍でなかったら名前くらいあるだろう。
I don't know. I assume, but I really don't know. At the very least, I'm Hokuolwo.
白オロ。お前、ふざけているのか。
No.
その男は何もふざけとりゃせんよ。それよりさっさとせんかい。夜が明けちまうよ。
はい。グラ。
はい。では失礼します。
Wait a minute, weren't you the other one? Wait, how many of you are there? Huh? Tightening. What's tightening? What?
目隠しさせていただきます。
Ah,
少しの間だけの辛抱ですので。
a blindfold. They must really not want me to know where we're going.
ここから先は足元に気をつけてください。
How? I can't see where I'm going. Wherever we're going, it feels like we're walking in circles or following winding trails. I can't even tell how long we've been at this. Huh?
開門。
Me or... Oh.
それではトゥスクル様、お願いします。悪いが、あんたこのままそこで待っててもらおう。
Are you talking to me? Do you mean blindfolded?
そうだ。いくらトゥスクル様の知り合いでも、ここから先へは通すわけにはいかないんでな。
Okay.
何をしとる。早くせんかい。
はい、すぐに。
白オロ。お前さんもじゃ。
Me?
トゥスクル様、それは。
せっかく来たんじゃ。顔を合わせるのもええじゃろ。
ですが。
言うたはずじゃ。この男は家族じゃと。それとも、これ以上ダダをこねて、わしを怒らす気かえ？
I very much respect the fact that everybody is slightly afraid of Tuskur.
いえ、そんな。
ならば文句はないの。
その。
だいたいお前は過保護すぎる。このままずっとあの子をカゴの中へ閉じ込めとく気かえ？
カゴの中って、俺は別に。
じゃったら言う通りにせんかえ。
This is a very interesting conversation to hear blindfolded and with no context.
安心せい。この男は奇妙な面をしとるが害はない。取って食ったりはせんよ。
Just don't punch the mask.
わかりました。
I'm not sure why she's saying all this about me. I don't know if I should feel honored or insulted. But the one thing I do know is that I no longer know what kind of person Tuskur is. Who is she really? That's the million-dollar question.
お兄様、お帰りなさい。
She sounds young. But I can't tell. Oh, now I can. And she looks young too.
ゆずは起きていたのか。
はい。今日はとっても気分がいいから。
そうか。ほら、お土産だ。都で買ってきた鈴だ。いい音だろう。
綺麗な音色。ありがとう、お兄様。
ああ。
This girl is that guy's little sister? I'm not sure if I'd describe her as beautiful or just cute. I guess I'd settle on pretty. Just met the girl and already we're sizing her up, alright. However, I don't know the best way to say this, but she looks fragile. Like a flower whose petals are about to fall.
トゥスクル様、来てくださったんですか？
おや、もうわかったのかい。今日はわしの勝ちだと思ったんだがね。
Wait, is she blind?
はい、暖かな、いろいろな薬草の香りがしましたから。でも、後ろの方は
Oh, maybe not. Huh?
大きな、
Oh, well.
とっても大きな土のような香り。
No, I don't know.
他に誰かいらっしゃるんですか？
Okay, that confirms it. Could she be?
気づいたかい？
Tuskur winks at me as she laughs. Oh, are you referring to me?
やっぱり。
After acknowledging my presence, she tries to get out of bed.
ダメだ、寝てなくては。
でも、
やっと熱が引いたばかりだろう。いいから、おとなしくしているんだ。
はい。お客様、こんな姿のままごめんなさい。
Nah, you don't need to apologize. I'm the one that came in uninvited.
私、ゆずはと言います。どうかよろしくお願いします。
Oh, I'm Hokuolwo. I'm staying at Tuskur's place. It's a pleasure to meet you too.
はい。
She seems like a nice girl.
どれ？
Tuskur places one palm on the girl's forehead and the other against her chest, then closes her eyes. She then holds her breath as if sensing something.
少しひむ髪がむずかっとるようじゃが。なかなかええ調子じゃな。
Does she have a spirit in her?
どこか具合の悪いところはあるかい？
平気です。
そうかい。このまま安定すればじきに良くなるじゃろうって。
本当ですか？
うん。
そうか。よかったな、ゆずは。
はい。
さて、わしはオボロと話がある。しばらく席を外すが、その間、白オロ、ユズハの話し相手をしてておくれ。
Okay, but I don't know what we're going to talk about. Huh? Sure, I'd be happy to, but...
あ、この男がゆずはの話し相手ってどういうことです？
何、待ってる間退屈じゃろうし、せっかくじゃからの。
Okay, thanks for putting me on the spot.
冗談言わないでください。なんでちょっと前に湧いて出たような男を。
冗談？冗談なんかでありゃせんよ。
余計に悪いです。話ならここで伺いますから。
Buddy, take the hint. It's probably nothing good about her health.
オボロや。
なんです？
つべこべ言わんと。きや。
あっ、ちょっと、トゥスクル様、耳、待って、いてて。
What was that all about? Well, I said I'd be happy to, but to be told to speak to her all of a sudden... I don't know what kind of things she'd like to talk about. How do I even begin? What should I do?
白オ様
Huh? Is she referring to me? That one took me a minute. I'm nobody's lord.
白オロ様のこと教えていただけませんか
Well, let's see. I have amnesia, so I don't know much, but I've got a mask stuck to my face, and yeah, that's about it. About myself?
はいご迷惑ですか
No, I don't mind. It's just... I recently lost my memory, so I don't have much to talk about.
記憶か
Yes, I was gravely injured, and Tuskur saved my life. But when I came to, I couldn't remember anything.
ごめんなさい私
Huh? Why are you apologizing?
そんなこと聞いてしまって
Ah, don't worry about it, because I don't. What about you, Lady Yuzuha?
白オロ様
Yes?
ゆずはのことはどうかゆずはとお呼びくださいお兄様にもそう呼ばれていますから
That's because he's your older brother. But, okay. Well then, Yuzuha.
はい
I feel a little awkward speaking so casually to someone so polite. Yuzuha, are you in pain?
具合よくわからないです
How could you not?
ずっとこうだったから
Ah, yeah, that does make sense. If pain is all you know, then that would be normal. Always?
はい
Does that mean always? As in, since a very long time ago? Damn, that was careless of me. Since Tuskur said she would get better over time, I thought...
白オロ様
Sorry.
どうして謝るんですか
Well, because...
気にしないでくださいこっちも気にしてませんから
Alright, well played, well played. Yuzu... Huh?
二人で同じように謝ってなんだかおかしい
Yeah. Now that you mention it, it is. Yuzuha turned out to be a surprisingly good conversation. Instead of my missing memories, we talked about all the things that happened since I woke up. Everything from boring everyday life to the unexpected. About Tuskur, Perils, and all of my other friends. Including Tuskur's granddaughters who I live with. Yuzuha happily listened, and sometimes a faint smile crossed her face. After a while, there was a lull in our exchange, accompanied with an awkward silence. Damn, I don't know what to say. What is it? Why do I sound so frantic?
ぶしつけなことお願いしてもいいですか
You want to touch my face? Something impolite?
お顔を触っても
I knew it.
いいですか
My face? Well, I guess that's fine. I wouldn't say that's impolite, but it's definitely a strange request. She smiles and slowly sits up. Is it okay for you to sit up?
はい
Her fingers nervously touch me. She seems confused. Then, as if she finally understands, she touches my face again. Oh, since she can't see.
何をしているユズハ。寝てなくてはダメだろ。
でも平気です。
さあ横になるんだ。あまり兄を心配させないでくれ。
はい。
あんたもあんただ。ユズハに何するつもりだった？
To help her see my face?
構わんよ。
そうだ、構わ。トゥスクル様？
気分がええ時は少しは動いた方がええんじゃ。
That is very true.
第一、何をしていた？人がいないからといってな。
ユズハが白オロの顔を触ってただけじゃろ。そのくらいで大の男が騒ぐんじゃないよ。
Yeah, really.
さて、ユズハの元気な姿も見たし、そろそろおいとましようかの。
では送ります。
もう帰られるのですか？
また今度来るからの。
はい。白オロ様、
Yes?
また今度も来てくれますか？
Yes, I will. See you soon.
おまじないしてもいいですか？
A spell? Yuzuha pulls out a strand of her hair and awkwardly starts wrapping it around my pinky finger.
こらユズハ。
白オロ様もお願いします。
Me? I don't really understand what's going on, but I wrap a strand of my hair around Yuzuha's pinky finger.
再会できるおまじないです。
I see. Guess I'll be back. I gently stroke Yuzuha's hair. A little bit of a poor choice of words, but it is what it is. She smiles and squints her eyes, as if it's tickling her.
やれやれ。どうやら夜が明ける前に帰ってこられたみたいだね。さっきの気にしとるのかい？
それではトゥスクル様。
See you later. What?
あんたはもう来るな。
But I made a promise. Why not?
来るなと言ったら来るな。
Okay, bye. Hey! Rude. Did I do something to offend him?
気にすることはないて。あれも一種の病気じゃ。さて、あの子たちが心配しているだろうから急いで戻らんとな。
That's probably true.
今帰ったよ。
おばあちゃん、もうこんな夜遅くにどこへ行ってたの？
すまないね。心配させないように黙ってたんだけど、かえって心配させてしまったかい。
本当に心配したんだから。突然こんなのが投げ込まれるし心配するなって書かれても、こんなことされたら余計に心配しちゃうよ。
It was the weirdest thing. This ninja just came out of nowhere and just yeeted it through the window. Don't worry, your grandmother is fine. That's not cryptic at all.
ねえ、本当にこんな時間どこへ行ってたの？
ああ、それはな、ある方の容体を見に行っとったんじゃよ。外へ出られないほど体が弱くての、こちらから出向いたというわけじゃ。こんな時間に出かけたのは、その患者はこの時間の診察が一番都合がいいからさ。
Ah, okay.
分かってもらえたかい？
でももう黙って行ったりしないでね。本当に心配したんだから。
あ、約束するよ。おや、アルル。 起きてしまったのかい。
Did you just sleep through all of the lights being turned on?
どうしたの？
I guess so.
なんでもないんじゃよ。さ、一緒に寝ようかね。
白オロさん、いろいろとごめんなさい。
Don't worry about it. I'm glad I got the opportunity to help you.
お茶でも飲みますか？
Tea would be great. My throat is parched.
はい。
It sure has been a busy day. Yuzuha. The way she started calling me Lord out of nowhere, maybe she's from a noble family. That's gotta be the reason. By the way, this pinky thing, she said it was a spell so that we'd see each other again. That's kind of cute.
どうぞお茶で。その小指、
Uh-oh. My pinky? What about it?
その髪の毛。
Hair? Oh, you mean on this pinky? I thought you were talking about my other one. Okay. It's supposed to be a spell that will ensure that we will see each other again. Are you familiar with it, Aruruu? Why do I have the feeling it's actually supposed to be some sort of romantic spell or something like that?
もしかして会いに行った人って女の子？
How did you know? I couldn't decide if she was beautiful or cute, so I settled on pretty. About as pretty as you. I said I'd come back. Why are we telling her this? Aruruu, the tea? We're going to get burned. Aruruu?
それでもしかして白オロさんもその子の小指に髪の毛を？
I'm beginning to understand why it was his name. Oboro told us not to come back. Huh? Oh, yeah. Supposedly it won't have any effect unless you both do it. But enough about that. The tea? What? Hey, Aruruu, that's my tea!
おやすみなさい。
Joke's on you, you're gonna have to pee really bad later. The tea. What just happened?
やれやれ、ダメじゃのこりゃ。
Are you going to explain it? No? Okay. Thanks for that. I don't know what's happening. On to the next thing. To the living room. I wonder if we're going to get more destinations. Probably.
つまりこっち側にも水路を持ってくるってわけか。そいつはちょいとばかり。
Irrigation.
ああ、いや、任しときなって。そのくらいなら朝飯前だ。よし、みんな作業に入るぞ。
Whew. Next is...
白オロさん。
Huh? Uh-oh. Something bad has happened. What happened? You're all worked up.
大変なの。人がいっぱい来て。
People?
だからとにかく来てください。
Okay, that sounds really ominous. Huh? Why is she so many people? What kind of people? Like bad people? I'm assuming.
そうかえ、戦を逃れての。
Okay.
最近他国では戦が絶えないとの噂は耳にするが。
There's nearly 150 people. Most are weak from exertion and starvation. We gave them food and are letting them rest.
ご苦労じゃったの。じゃが、あの山並みを越えてくるとはなんと無茶なことを。
で、村尾さん、一体どうするつもりですかい？まさかあれだけの数を受け入れるってんじゃ。
受け入れねばなるま。
ちょいと待ってくれ。いくらなんでもあんな大人数150人って言ったらここの奴らより多いじゃないですかい。
Yeah, really, we've got all of, what, like 6 people?
そりゃちった蓄えもできた。しかしあれだけの数が増えたらあっという間に干上がっちゃう。そんなことは村長が一番よく知っているでしょうが。
ではお主はあの者。
そりゃ
戦で家を焼かれ住む場所を追われ断腸の思いでふるさとを捨て何人もの腹からの屍を踏み越えながら山並みを越えここまでたどり着いたあの者たちを見捨てろというのかえ。
でもよ。
忘れたかえ。わしらは助け合わねばならぬということを。助け合うからこそわしらはこの貧しい地で生きていけるのだということを。
それにも限度ってもんが。一人二人ならまだしもここにはあれだけの人数を養える食料も場所もねえってのに。
He isn't wrong. It's a simple fact that we don't have enough food or shelter. Even with the food we harvested, we'll completely run out if our population increases by that many people. Realistically speaking, this village can't support that many people. It's impossible.
だな。
Oh, can you read my thoughts?
だからといって見捨てることはできんだに。
こうしたらどうですか？とりあえずあの人たちには疲れが癒えるまでいてもらって、その後で他の集落や都に行ってもらうとか。
そいつは無理だろうな。他のところも似たようなもんさ。受け入れてくれるとは思えねえ。
You guys listening? In our current state, we can't take in this many people. However, if we don't, it's the same as leaving them to die. The problem is food, or rather the lack of good land to grow enough of it.
Hokuolwoや。
Yes?
お前さんならこんな時どうするかえ。
Ooh, that's an awkward spot, but okay. If it were up to me...
そうじゃ。お前さんの意見を聞かせてくれんか。
I'm just an outsider. I don't know if it would be right for me to...
いや、すでにお前さんはここの男じゃ。ここにおる皆がそれを認めとる。
だな。おいも、あんちゃんの意見を聞いてみて。
Oh, I get it. Those are the rest of the villagers. I was confused.
そうじゃの。
あんちゃんの正直な意見を聞かせてくれねえか。
My...
さあ、聞かせておくれ。お前さんの考えを。お前さんならこれをどう乗り切るかを。
I don't know. I used to play nation states, and I wasn't very good at that, so I might not be the right person to ask. How would I overcome this? If it were up to me...
遠慮せんで言うてみ。
I was saved by everyone here. That's why I personally wouldn't want to turn my back on anyone in the same situation. But...
しかしここにはあれだけの人を受け入れる余裕がないじゃ。
Yes.
それでも受け入れなければならぬとしたらどうするかい？
If I had to take them in... First, I would expand the village. We need enough harvestable land to produce enough food for this many people. Considering the land around us, we'll need to grow crops on the hillsides. It won't be easy, but it's not impossible. But the real problem is feeding everyone until we'd be able to harvest those crops. We don't have nearly enough food to last until then. Therefore, we must purchase the food we'll need from elsewhere.
ちょっと待ってくれや。んな簡単に言ってどこにそんな金があるんだ。
We use the barter system.
自慢じゃねえが、ここにはそんな金も交換できそうなもんも何もねえんだぜ。
You mean Mororos aren't in demand in other places? Then we'll have to produce something of value. I think some kind of metal would be good. Especially iron. It's more valuable than copper, so we can sell it for a high price if we bring it to the city. And on the way back, we can stock up on food with the money we'll earn.
おいおい、あんちゃん無茶言うなって。確かに鉄っつったらバカ高えけどよ、なもんどうやって作るってんだ。
Oh, I know how we can produce iron. To produce high-purity iron, we just need a forge that can withstand intense heat, plus fuel and some other chemicals. What? Seriously, what did we do?
なんとかなるって。なんであんちゃんがんなことまで知ってんだ。どっかじゃ作り方すら秘密にされてるって話だぜ。
I don't know, I'm surprising myself. Well, now that he mentions it, how do I know that? Seppuku elbows Teruo in his side.
何細かいこと気にしてんの。柄でもない。白オロがこの状況をどうにかできるって言ってるんだよ。だったらそんなのどうでもいいじゃないかい。
そりゃそうだな。
んじゃ頼んだよ、白オロ。
No pressure. She winks as she says that. Seriously, you're giving me some weird vibes.
では決まりじゃな。白オロ、あとは任せたよ。
To me?
他に誰がおるんじゃ。何、今までと同じと思えばええ。ちょいと忙しくなるがの。
That is pretty accurate. Since I've gotten here, I've gotten a lot of responsibility. Right.
ではこれで3回じゃ。皆ご苦労じゃったの。明日からの作業に備えて今日はゆっくりと休んでおくれ。
Okay. I'm really interested. I really want to know how it is that at first I thought, okay, we just have a lot of agricultural experience, but maybe he was some sort of lord, but a very well-versed one that also has experience with chemistry and I don't know. It's interesting though. Living room?
そう。そしたら3番目の糸を二重に返してごらん。
こう。
もっと強く力を均一にな。
What you doing?
うん。
Lots of thread is being intertwined over and over again on wooden rods. Okay. They must be weaving.
ほれ、ここの模様がくさび型になったろ。
ああ。
あとはそれを繰り返すんじゃ。
うん。
Aruruu keeps weaving with awkward hand movements just as she's told. I wouldn't say she's particularly good at weaving, but she's really focused and giving it her all.
あ。
Did I interrupt you? The way she's shaking her head so quickly is kind of adorable. So, what are you making?
うん。
Huh? She's gone quiet. Aw, man, again?
トゥパイを折っとるんじゃよ。ほれ、お前さんの使うてるトゥパイ、もうかなりほころびとる。
Okay.
ダメ。
おや、
うーん。
もしかして内緒だったんかい？
ああ。
Oh,
そうかい。悪いことしたの？
so it's for me? Thank you.
うん。
I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's done. Pat, pat.
うん。
Her head is so soft and fluffy. It's so fluffy. Pat, pat, pat.
にゃー。
I shouldn't bother her anymore.
あ、
Huh?
行っちゃうの？
She wants more pats. Yeah, I thought I should probably get out of your hair. Literally.
うーん。
I mean, I suppose I can continue. Never mind. Progress. Oh, it actually is progress. I mean, progress. Why did I say it like that? I don't know.
白オロ。お金かえ、白オロ。
Who is it?
白オロ。
Why does everybody wake me up in the middle of the night? What?
目が覚めたかえ。
I am now, for real. Yeah, I'm awake. My heart, on the other hand, may be on the verge of going to sleep forever.
何か言ったかえ。
No, I just thought it. No, I just thought... Normally when I do that, it doesn't catch me so off guard, but this time, it actually did. Ooh. No, I just thought it. But isn't it still pitch black outside? What are you doing up in the middle of the night?
これから出かけるから。お前さんも支度をするんじゃ。
I don't think what's-his-name is going to be really happy about that. Heading out? Where?
あの子ともう一度会う約束をしたんじゃろ。一緒に行くつもりなら、とっととしたくせい。
Are you going to explain the hair on the pinky thing? That girl. I look at my pinky. It still has her hair tied around it. Oh, I didn't realize that was just going to stay that way.
おまじない。
A spell, huh?
おばあちゃん、どうしたの？
Oh, you woke up Aruruu this time. She needs her catnap.
起こしてしまったかえ。ちょいと白オロと出かけてくるよ。明け方には戻るから、二人は留守番をしてておくれ。
出かけるってこんな夜遅く。
Oh no. What's wrong? It wasn't my choice. Why do you look so angry?
別に怒ってなんかないです。
Okay, why do you look so perturbed then?
行こう、アルル。いってらっしゃいませ。
She seems angry to me. Gee, I wonder why. But is this really okay? It seemed like that Oboro guy didn't want me to come.
ええんじゃよ。妹思いは結構じゃが、あれは過保護すぎるて。
Yes, but he also held a knife to my throat. I don't think we're fully grasping the intensity of this situation.
今のあの子に本当に必要なのは話し相手さね。
If that's the case, wouldn't it be better to take Aruruu instead? They're about the same age, and they're both girls.
いずれはの。
Tuskur looks concerned as she whispers that. By the way, is that girl...
幼い頃発作を起こした時にの、 命は取り留めたが、光を失ってしもうた。
That girl's illness.
体中の狼がいがみ合い争う病さね。体の中で狼が争っとるんじゃ。たまったものではないよ。
The gods?
しかし遅いね。いつまで待たせる気だい。
He saw my face and he was just like, ah, not this clown again.
待たせました。
やっと来たかい。
すみません。手間取りあんたは。なんであんたがここにいるんだ。まさか一緒に来る気じゃないだろうな。
Just as I thought. But he doesn't need to be so mean about it.
わしが連れて行くというんじゃ。何か文句があるのかえ。
ですけど。
文句があるのかえ。
Ooh.
わかりました。貴様、もしゆずはによこしまな真似を。
さっさとせんか。
はい。
For some reason, his demeanor completely changed.
それでは失礼します。
Oh, now there are two of them. It's like The Shining.
足元に気をつけてください。
Oh, are we blindfolded again?
気をつけなくていいぞ。そのまま谷底へ転落してくれたら手間が省ける。
Thanks.
若様。
白オロ様。
How did you know? Her complexion looks a little better than last time.
おまじないかな。
Yuzuha raises her pinky finger. The strand of hair is still tied around it. Oh, right. I take her hand and put up my pinky finger next to her fingertips. Yuzuha feels around and upon checking my pinky, smiles happily.
若様、何をするつもりですか。
話せ。ユズハがこの男に。
ダメですってば。
ユズハ、その男から。
What's he making all that racket behind me? Oh, what's making all that racket behind me? Oh, I don't even know it's him. When I turn around, I see Oboro slumped over, lying on the floor for some reason. Next to him, I see Tuskur pressing a cloth against Oboro's mouth. Oh my god. What are you doing?
こんなところで眠りこけて仕方ないやつじゃの。俺さっさと運び出さんか。
Okay.
はい。
わしは茶でもちそうになっとる。お前さんはユズハの相手をしとるとええ。
She's scary. Alright. Probably best not to question it. Well, what should we do today? Oh, right. What do you like to do, Yuzuha?
好きなこと。
Yeah, like when you're playing with friends or...
友達。
Yeah, kind of an insensitive question.
友達って何ですか？
Huh? You know, friends.
うん。
Does she really not know what friends are?
今のあの子に本当に必要なのは話し相手さね。
Ah.
どうかしました？
No, just having another flashback, it's fine. Oh, not at all. So that's what Tuskur meant. Well, a friend is... Okay. They're someone you play or work with, and you get closer to them over time. It's hard to explain.
一緒にお兄様のことですか？
Well, yes, but actually no. No, you usually don't count siblings as friends.
トゥスクル様ですか？
She might say something like, "We're close friends, bwahaha," but based on her position, it's a little different.
リナイ、ホコロは友達ですか？
Who and who now?
いつもそばにいてくれる人たちです。
Is she talking about those respectful women who bowed their heads as I passed by? From what I can tell, they seem more like her attendants. They seem to care deeply about her, but if I asked if they were her friends, they'd probably say no. And I bet the same could be said for those girls by Oboro's side, Dori and Gura. Even given her condition since such a young age, to not know that word is really sad.
白オロ様は友達ですか？
Huh?
友達ではありませんか？
Me? Hey, that's right. Yeah, we are friends, aren't we?
よかった。白オロ様、もっとあの子たちのことを話してほしいです。
Those girls?
エルルー様とアルルー様のこと。
Oh, sure, of course. I tell her about Aruruu and Aruruu. I'm not sure why Yuzuha wants me to tell her about them. Is it because she looks up to them? Or envies them? Or what? Yuzuha simply listens intently to everything I say. And then Aruruu started chasing Aruruu all over again. I embellished the story a little, but that's fine, right? As long as it'll make Yuzuha happy, I'm sure Aruruu will forgive me. Probably.
楽しそう。追いかけっこしてみたいな。
Yuzuha. That does it. I want you to meet them someday.
本当ですか？
Yes, really.
友達になれますか？
Of course you will. Yuzuha laughs happily. Friends, huh? She's so sweet. I really hate that. I really do hope she gets better. I hope this doesn't turn into a really sad situation. To the field, since I've already read the room, even though I need to reread the room. Speaking of reading the room.
ハクオロさん、顔に泥が。
Huh? Here? Brush, brush.
いえ、もう少し上です。
Here?
あ、もう少し左。ちょっと待っててください。
Stay on target. Stay on target. Aruruu takes out a soft cloth and wipes my cheek. Huh?
あ、動いちゃダメです。
Alright.
はい、取れました。
Thank you.
どういたしまして。
幼い頃は兄弟のように過ごしてきたんじゃ。変わっていく姿を見るのは辛いんじゃろうな。
どうかしました？
Huh?
何か考え事をしてたみたいでしたから。
Nope, just another flashback. It happens. Oh, it's nothing.
お姉ちゃん、おばあちゃんが呼んでる。
おばあちゃんが？なんだろう。ちょっと行ってきます。
Aruruu.
はい。
Oh, no, never mind.
そうですか。
Why? Why is my heart wavering like this? That girl saved my life, and I... What am I?
お父さん。
Huh? Oh!
うーん。
Oh. Aruruu embraces me after Aruruu is out of sight. What are you doing?
うーん。
Aruruu rubs her cheek against me as if responding to my question. Huh? Do you want me to pat you some more?
うん。
Sheesh. You're so spoiled, Aruruu.
ふん。
おい
Oh, this guy again. Oh, it's you. Does your arm feel better now?
うるせえ今日はてめえに構ってる暇はねえんだ。エルルーはどこにいる？
兄弟のように。
I don't know.
はっ、てめえがエルルーの居場所を知ってるはずがねえか。おい、ガキンチョ。エルル相変わらず可愛げのねえガキだぜ。
Oh, are you kidding? She's adorable.
あっち。
あ？
あっちにいないから絶対に行っちゃダメ。
Is she leading him over to a bee's nest or something? Aruruu points in a direction. That's an odd way of putting it. However, she is right. Aruruu is not over there.
そういうことか。エルルーはこの先にいるんだな。隠すつもりでわざわざ教えるた。やっぱガキだぜ。
Right, yeah, stupid kid. What? What is he talking about? Oh. Wait, don't go that way.
俺様に指図するんじゃねえ。
You don't understand. I'm telling you not to go there because it isn't safe.
はっ、 今さらんな言葉に騙されるかよ。まった。
Oh, he fell in the canal. There's where we keep the manure. That's why I told you not to go over there.
そうむし。
Wait, did she intend for this to happen?
くそー、覚えてやがれ。
He says he won't forget about it, but I think it's more like it'll be pretty hard to forget this ever happened. Yeah, no kidding.
続き。
Aruruu.
続き。
Oh, she didn't even, her grandmother didn't even need her, she just wanted pats. Huh? Aruruu's running over here pretty fast. Aruruu?
こら！おばあちゃんが呼んでるなんて、また嘘をついたりして。
I knew it.
待ちなさい！
Just wanted more pats from Pseudo-Dad. Alright, now to the room. Now we'll read it for real. Aruruu, it's time to go.
はい、行こう、アルル。よいしょっと。
The people here go into the forest every day. The men go to hunt and the women go to gather mororo and fruits. Well, the reason I'm with Aruruu right now is because Tuskur ordered it. She said it would help me recover by moving my body a bit. But it seems like I'm just here to help carry things. Well, it's not to identify plants, because that didn't go well last time. As always, after going down the trail for about an hour, we arrive at an area with gigantic trees towering above us.
すみません、ちょっと待っててください。
She's praying to Yanua Kami. One of these days I'll figure out how to pronounce Yanuan Kami? Aruruu pauses in front of the shrine. A single flower has been laid before it as an offering. It isn't particularly vibrant or beautiful. It's a small little thing and yet lovely.
おばあちゃん、来てたんだ。
As she whispers that, Aruruu gently picks up the flower and gazes at it for a while.
そっか。
Did something happen?
いえ、ちょっと。
That's a nice flower, but for an offering, isn't it a little small and plain?
いいんです。ヤーナウンカミはこのお花が大好きですから。
Ah, what's it called?
エルルン。
Ah, Aruruu?
はい。
Aruruu.
このお花、私と同じ名前なんです。
So you're named after this flower?
昔
Huh?
昔のお話です。
Did we get to hear it?
あるところに
Yes.
とても仲のいい姉妹が住んでいました。早くに両親を亡くした姉妹ですが、持ち前の明るさで貧しくも幸せに暮らしていました。そんなある時、一帯を治める藩主様が森で狩りをすることになりました。それだけなら良かったのですが、藩主様は周りが止めるのも聞かずに、ムティカパ様の住処に足を踏み入れてしまったのです。
And died.
それが悲劇の始まりでした。
Oh, or maybe worse.
住処を荒らされ怒り狂ったムティカパ様が藩主様の前に現れたのです。たくさんのお供の命を犠牲にして命からがら逃げ延びることができた藩主様ですが、夜な夜なあたりの集落に現れては手当たり次第襲い始めたのです。ムティカパ様に怯える藩主様は何度もムティカパ様を退治しようとしました。でもムティカパ様にかなうはずもなく、その度に屍の山が積み上げられるだけ。
Yikes.
人々がムティカパ様に怯えていたのと時を同じくして、それを直すには とても高価な薬が必要で、まずしばらく悩んだお姉さんはある決心をし、藩主様に言いました。私がムティカパ様のお怒りを鎮めてみせます。それからしばらくして、妹は病の床から目を覚まします。いつの間にか気分はすっかり良くなり、病気だったのが嘘のようです。女の子は嬉しくなってお姉さんを呼びました。でもそこには優しいお姉さんの姿はありませんでした。呼んでも呼んでも、探しても探しても。おばあちゃんが話してくれました。そのお姉さんはこの森と一つになったんだよって。言い伝えでは今日がその日にあたって、だからこの日ヤーナウンカミに捧げるんです。お姉さんが好きだったお姉さんと同じ名前のこのお花を。
The same name. I see. That woman's name was...
エルル。私この名前とお花が好きです。子供の頃はお花と同じ名前ってあんまり好きじゃなかったんですけど、そのお話を聞いてからとっても好きになりました。え？
これ
Aruruu hands something to Aruruu. It's a few small flowers linked together. These flowers have a different appeal than the Ururu's.
もちろんこのお花も大好き。
That's...
アルルーです。エルルーのそばに咲くから姉妹草って言われてます。いつまでも姉妹仲良くって意味です。
I see. Long ago, huh? These flowers here and those sisters. Could they?
それじゃあ行きますね。ハクオロさん？
Yeah, I'm coming. Now then. Progress. Back to the forest.
んだとてめえら、俺様の命令が聞けねえってのか。
You talking to me again?
どうしちゃったんだよ、ヌワンギ。
Oh.
話があるというから何かと思えば、随分と偉くなったもんだに。
It's from when he landed in the fertilizer. It made his gourd grow.
うるせえ。てめえらは黙って俺様の命令に従えばいいんだよ。
あんちゃんに嫌がらせをしてここから追い出せという話だにか。
Probably.
ダメだよヌワンギ、そんなこと。
うるせえって言ってんだよ。分かってんのか。俺様はもう昔の俺じゃねえんだ。
I'm his evil twin.
お前さんが昔のままじゃないのはよーくわかったに。偉くなったついでに姑息になっただに。
昔のお前言わなかった。
何？
あんちゃんはもうここの男だに。お前さんも昔はここのもんだったならこの意味がわかるだに。
仲間、家族、守る、追い出すいうヌワンギ。お前もうここの男の資格ない。
Ooh. That was a revelation, not his name.
てめえら！わしらはもう帰るに。ヌワンギ、もう一度ヤーナウンカミと向き合ってみるだに。
待てよ。
ヌワンギ。
帰る。
うん。
待てって言ってんだ。
I don't think they're listening.
クソが何が嫌なうんかみだ。薄汚ねえただのタムヤじゃねえか。
Oh no.
こんな
Don't do it.
なものが。
Don't you do it.
ざまあ見さらせ。 俺様に逆らったもんはこうなるんだよ。
Yep, I'm sure this is going to have disastrous effects.
そうだ。俺様は偉いんだ。俺様はオーロになる男なんだ。
Oh, no. I have a bad feeling about this. If my calculations are correct. Yep, we've expanded the field quite a bit, but now we have a new problem to deal with. The side of the next field is blocked by bedrock, so we can't dig an irrigation channel. If we can't dig a canal, then what if we build an aqueduct? Huh? Somebody's in the rocking chair again.
まだ起きてたんですか？
Aruruu, did I wake you up?
いえ、なんだか眠れなかったんです。もしかしてそれ、畑の図面ですか？
Yes. I thought it would be good if we could widen the field, even if it's just a little.
白オロさん、
Yeah?
どうして
Why what?
いえ、やっぱり何でもないです。
Okay. Hmm?
それより、もう寝た方がいいです。あんまり根を詰めると体を壊しちゃいます。
Huh? Okay, once I reach a stopping point, I'll do just that.
でも、
I'd really like to reach a good stopping point first.
それじゃあ何か温まるものを入れてきますね。
I didn't mean to make her worry. She's such a nice girl. She's flawless when it comes to housework, and she's very attentive. I bet she'll make a good wife and mother someday.
どうぞ、蜂蜜酒でいいですか？
Absolutely. Thanks. It's warm and bittersweet. It kind of tastes like honey mixed with a citrus fruit. It feels like it's warming me to my core. Wow, it's delicious.
よかった。これ私がつけたんです。なんといっても素朴姉さん直伝なんですよ。
I could hear the pride in her voice.
おかわりどうですか？
Well, may I have just one more cup?
はい。
What's wrong?
なんだか急に虫の鳴き声がしなくなったから。
I mean, sometimes I just assume that the sound cues get messed up, so I didn't think anything of it. The crickets? Now that she mentions it, it has gotten awfully quiet. The animals and insects were making plenty of noise a minute ago, but not now.
なんだろう。
Aruruu nervously fidgets while surveying her surroundings. Her ears twitch, listening for the slightest sound, like an animal sensing danger. Just as her hair starts to ruffle up, she drops down and covers her head.
何これ。やだ。
Aruruu? As I place my hand on her shoulder, I can feel her trembling. What in the world is happening? She seems terrified of something. Whatever it is, she's panicking. What was that just now? It almost sounded like a beast's roar. And that sounds like a horrifying scream. Huh? That scream. What happened? Aruruu, wait here. I'm going to go check it out. Eaten? She definitely said eaten. So, does that mean that something that eats people is on its way here now? Oh, Mutikapa.
誰か助け
Listen, Aruruu, no matter what happens, do not go outside. Let go of me if I don't hurry.
もう間に合わないです。だから。
We don't know that yet, but unless I leave right now, it really will be too late.
ムティカパ様のことを知らないからそんなこと言えるんです。
Fair, but it's an emergency.
誰にもどうにもできないんです。だから。
Aruruu, huh? It suddenly got really quiet. I'll be right back. Aruruu might be absolutely right, but I can't just leave people to die. It's eerily quiet. I'm sure the scream came from somewhere around here. What's with this warm, sweet smell? I feel like I'm suffocating. Ugh. What's that sound? Ugh. Huh. It's eating someone. What is that thing? Is this Mutikapa? I don't know what I expected, but that wasn't it. Damn. Ah. This is why Aruruu tried so hard to stop me. Just one blow, and I'm already like this. I'm sorry, I don't speak large cat. Ah, my leg. What? What are you doing out here? Forget about me, run home. It's no use, my leg is done for. I can't run. Aruruu, you need to save yourself. Damn it. At least let this girl... Alright, I'm going to draw its attention. That's when you... Instead, Aruruu adamantly shakes her head and grabs a hold of me. What are you doing? Run! No. Here it comes. Drop? What's dropping? Oh. I don't like rain. What happened? Why did it stop? Rain check? Huh? Why did it leave? We're spared? But why? Aruruu. It's okay now. It just ran off somewhere. We're alive. We're alive. How could you be so reckless? Why did you come out? Weren't you the one that told me to stay inside? I'm glad we were spared, but... Aruruu. sorry. This was my fault. It's okay. We're fine now.
そうかい。キリクリの家の門は。
かみさんも子供もみんな食われちまった。
Jeez.
畜生め、子供はまだ赤ん坊だってのに。
村尾さ。
どうじゃった？
やっぱ壊れとったに。しかも誰かが壊したような感じだったに。
なんてこと。
Is all this related to that shrine?
大ありさね。あれはヤーナウン神を祀ると同時にムティカパ様を鎮めるためのものなのさ。
So, what if we rebuild it? She shakes her head.
一度こうして暴れちまったらもう止められないんだよ。
Then, what are we gonna do?
わしらにできることは、ムティカパ様の怒りが静まるまで、夜になったら息を潜めることくらいだよ。
That doesn't sound like a very sustainable strategy, but okay.
じゃあこのまま奴に食われるのを待てって言うんですかい。
わしとてそれを望んでいるわけではない。じゃが、あれの恐ろしさは、お前さんも身をもって知ったはず。強く、素早く、賢く。そして何より、矢も槍も貫くことができないその体じゃ。どうあがこうが、わしらがどうこうできる相手ではない。まして、下手に刺激すれば、もっと悲惨な結末を迎えるじゃろうて。
So I'm assuming at some point we're going to have to fight it.
そう。あの時のようにな。
Everyone falls silent, noticing that Tuskur is straining to force her voice through her lips. Back then?
それでは、これで3回じゃ。ええかい？夜になったら、決して物音を立てるでないよ。
Well, things have turned dark pretty quickly. I guess that's not really surprising. As soon as Nuwangi destroyed that shrine, I was just like, well, that couldn't possibly have any disastrous effects. And here we are. Yep, disastrous effects. So I guess that's going to be the next big story beat. We're probably going to have to figure out some way to fight Mutikapa, I guess? I'm assuming, I really don't see any other way for it to go down. But, I mean, if he's really that tough, I don't know. I wonder if it's going to be one of those fights where you go in the first time and you lose because it's an unwinnable fight, and then you come back later with better skills and equipment. Or maybe it'll be just a regular thing, who knows. At any rate, I think this is probably a good point to stop this episode. We've gotten some more character development, we figured out the story of Aruruu and Aruruu's namesake, and we met Yuzuha and her brother Oboro. I'm guessing that he's probably going to be a character that you add on to the team later for fights, but I'm curious to see how their relationship. I really hope that Yuzuha gets better. It's going to be sad if for some reason she just takes a turn for the worse, but it's so hard to tell with sick characters. I mean, look at Kinkoi. Anyway, I'm enjoying this. I know this was a very story-heavy episode. I'm guessing there's not really any point in doing any more grinding right now, since we only have the one level available to us. And I feel like even with one level higher, the experience gains are proving to be pretty negligible. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. For now, I am one half of the Bridge Boys, signing off.